All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Patched Up Providers. We're honored to have the Eastern PA EMS Council with us today. Who do we have with us today?
My name's April. I work at the Eastern PA EMS Council. I'm there as education specialist.
And I'm Jason Smith, and I'm the Deputy Director.
And you guys came on Patched Up today to talk about the Code Conference.
Correct.
So, April, tell me a little bit about the history of the Code Conference.
Code Conference has been around for a very long time, we're thinking about 35 years. It was originally held over at the Pocono Manor in Pocono Manor, and unfortunately that facility ended up burning down, and we ended up moving over to Kalahari Resorts, which actually is kind of, I guess, a little bit of a blessing because the facility has everything that we need. It has the vendor hall. It has an indoor water park for families to attend while you are at the conference. It has everything that we pretty much need all in one spot.
So, Jason, tell me about who should attend the Code Conference and what's in it for them.
So the Code EMS Conference is really open to anyone. EMS providers, EMS leadership. One of the things that we hear from providers is they have a hard time trying to find clinical patient care credits. And that's the majority of the credits that you need to do a recertification. Other than sitting and watching them on an online platform, Code Conference, we offer those. Majority of the classes that we hold or the sessions that we schedule are clinical patient care credits. With regards to agency leadership, we have an expansive exhibition hall. 70 vendors bringing their latest and greatest equipment.
Everybody loves Kalahari. I like going to Kalahari, taking my kids there. You were talking to me earlier about the cost of your conference. It is very affordable. What is the cost for an attendee?
So the Code Conference is very affordable. It's $175 for 2.5 days of education. Mm-hmm. That's a fraction of the cost when you're looking at a national conference. Hotel rooms at Kalahari are also cheap if you are an attendee of the Code Conference. They will send us a pass key, and anybody who's registered for the Code Conference can register to get a room at Kalahari, and the overnight rooms are $189 per night.
Wow. That's a good rate for a hotel room at Kalahari Resort.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, April, tell me, as the education specialist at the EMS Council, tell me about some of the education that's going to be coming to the Code Conference this year.
Oh, we have all kinds of good things in store for sure. We are going to have some classes or some sessions on professional leadership and development. We're going to have classes on cardiac and respiratory emergencies. We're going to have some sessions. We do have a session set up on some of those unseen skills that we don't use very often that, we need to sharpen our skills up on a little bit. We're going to also be holding a couple EMS VO sessions, which are those really hard to get EMS VO credits so you can continue driving the ambulances. We have a bunch of sessions all ready to go.
Any hot topics this year at the EMS conference that we're going to be focusing on? I know that over the last couple of years, it's been Code Green and mental health. It's always a topic that we want to bring to the front of EMS. But anything else going on that maybe we're starting to talk more about in EMS?
So 2 of the sessions that we are responsible to fill are the lunchtime keynotes. So this year, our lunchtime keynotes are focused on autism and not on the premise of how to treat a patient with autism. It is more on the lines of, I'm an individual, I have autism, and this is how I've gone through life. Mm-hmm. That individual is, it's a company out of the Philadelphia area called Benergy. And he's a grown man, diagnosed with autism at the age of 5. And speaks nationally on the struggles that he's had. And his session is geared more towards be kind.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Our second keynote session is Freedom House, made popular by the Pit.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. So we actually have an individual who's going to be attending to speak about it, and he was one of the founders of Freedom House. Mm-hmm. This individual's name is John Moon. So those that aren't familiar with Freedom House, it was an all African-American run EMS agency in the Pittsburgh area that started in approximately 1967. They provided EMS. They took individuals with no training, trained them how to become EMS providers, and it really shaped EMS throughout the entire country. Mm-hmm. They actually did the first field intubation, mm-hmm. And John Moon was a paramedic who did that.
Wow.
Yes, I am super, super excited about that keynote speaker. I cannot wait for him to be there. I can't wait to meet him. I am stoked.
That is exciting. Like,
Yeah, this is amazing.
To sit and talk and meet with
Mhm.
one of like the founding fathers of EMS. That's exciting.
Literally, they started the very first EMS agency, and he's the first one that did an in-field innovation. I mean, now we have cool things like video laryngoscopes. Who knows what he had back in 1972 or whatever when he did it. I just can't wait to hear his story. It's just, I am so excited just to meet him. I mean, he did the first innovation. I
wonder what like an
cool as hell.
endotracheal tube was like then.
I don't even know. Like, I have no idea. And then the fact that it was mentioned on the pit, we were like, oh yeah, like this is fantastic. And the fact that he was available and he was willing to come and speak at our conference just is huge. We're super excited about that.
Everybody asked me, everybody has great things to say about the show, The Pit. And like, I just can't get into shows that are fake medical shows. And I hear that one's very realistic.
It is amazing. It's amazing. Every now and then you'll see something like, really, The Pit, really, you didn't know better. But they do an amazing job of how realistic it is. Yeah, it's crazy. Not as good as Code 3, but it's that's a whole different thing.
So Jason, we were talking earlier and you mentioned that I asked you who should attend the EMS conference, and you mentioned that it's for anybody, regular providers, but you also mentioned agency leadership should attend. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So, we have various vendors that are up there showing the latest and greatest in technology, latest and greatest in tools, ambulance vendors, those not boots on the ground, but the decision makers for the EMS agency. We have billing companies that are there. So we have a wide spectrum of vendors that are there to show their product. And again, those aren't things that the typical boots on the ground provider would have the ability to move forward. But when you bring in the EMS agency leadership, they can then make the decision to change billing companies, or we're going to buy a new ambulance, or we're going to look at this new tool that's out there to make EMS life great.
When I was earlier in my EMS career, we talked about a guy who kind of set me up to always be successful in my EMS career. And I'll always be thankful for that. But one of the things he did is he took me as what you said, a boots on the ground kind of provider at an agency, and took me to a conference in San Antonio. It was a AAA conference. And one of the benefits I think about having boots on the ground there with their leadership is you have the people that are going to be out on the trucks using the equipment. Software is another thing that is big and up and coming. There's all different kinds of charting software, things like that. Mm-hmm. And ambulances who the providers are going to be riding in. Well, my point is you want your providers there so you can get their take on what do they need to do a great job of taking care of their patients. Mm-hmm. And they take that to their leadership, and now leadership can make a informed decision on, what their agency really needs to take it to the next level. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, there's also going to be vendors there that are going to be advertising their education. So if there's, we have a couple of vendors that are looking for maybe if you want to advance your education for some of your providers, if you have an EMT now that maybe wants to go into be an EMT or paramedic, there's going to be educational opportunities that their leadership and then the providers can speak with as well as some of the vendors. Give them an idea of what's out there when it comes to education and be able to further your career.
Have you ever been at an agency and then all of a sudden someone's like, hey, we bought this software or we bought this piece of equipment and had no input of the providers and things. And it was like, it did not go over probably the way they thought it was going to.
No.
So that's great that, you
need to have that involvement of the boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're having the Code Conference at Kalahari Resort this fall. Who makes that possible for you?
So we depend a lot on our sponsors. Mm-hmm. Health networks, independent sponsors, and without them, it wouldn't be possible. Lehigh Valley Health Network, Jefferson Health is one of our sponsors. Mm-hmm. St. Luke's University Health Network is one of our sponsors. Geisinger Health System, Penn State Health, and Tower Health. Mm-hmm. Easy EMS Solutions and Mobile CPR, AED, and First Aid are actually one of our keynote sponsors. They're going to be sponsoring the Freedom House session. Lee Heighton Ambulance is one of our sponsors. Suburban EMS is another one of our keynote sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Citronia Ambulance Corps and DeSales University Pre-Hospital Medicine is one of our sponsors as well.
It's nice to hear a lot of large networks coming together to, kind of support the EMS agencies that bring them patients and everything like that. So it's awesome to hear.
Yeah, and with their sponsorship, they actually get a number of sessions where the presenter that is talking, on a Tuesday at 1:00 maybe would be a St. Luke's session. Mm-hmm. So they're responsible to fill those sessions with their own presenters. So the council or the Code EMS conference group, we only have a small session pool that we have to fill. Mm-hmm. The rest of those are covered by Lehigh Valley Health Network, St. Luke's University Health Network, Reading Tower Health, Penn State Health, and Geisinger.
Nice. Makes your job a little easier, huh?
Absolutely does.
And I'm sure they're bringing like top tier professionals to come there and give EMS providers education.
Yes, yeah.
Doesn't get any better than that, right?
Subject matter experts.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, how does somebody, a smaller business, get involved with sponsoring the Code Conference?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as going to codeemsconference.com. Mm-hmm. On that page, we have all of the various sponsorship levels, from anything from a premier sponsor down to sponsoring pens or lanyards. Mm-hmm. Each session gets something special for that.
Awesome.
And then when you get into the larger larger sponsorships, then they get, free registrations, table booth in the exhibitor hall. So it just depends on, what it is you're looking to spend to be a sponsor. Mm-hmm. And we can really do things a la carte as well.
How has the Code Conference evolved over those last 35 years? Anything new this year, or how do we keep, in this day and age, we also talked about innovation and trying different ways and new approaches to reach people. It's kind of the basis of like patch to providers. Mm-hmm. If you're not on social media, you're not reaching people, right?
Pretty much.
So
anything new exciting this year for Code Conference?
So in the early years of the Pocono EMS Conference, we did a rebrand to Code EMS Conference about 10 or 11 years ago. In the early days of the Pocono EMS Conference held at Pocono Manor Inn, our vendor hall was tables lined up in a hallway, and any vehicle vendor that would come had to park their vehicles outside. Fast forward to 2026, we have an expansive exhibit hall. Vehicles are brought inside. There have been years that we've had helicopters and tractor trailers inside of the exhibit hall.
We had the Sherpa.
What's the Sherpa? I gotta know.
Oh my goodness! It is this.
It's an amphibious vehicle.
That the tires deflate and it can go in the water. You bring that up, your tires reflate. It is like a tank on these big wheels. It is cool as hell.
So we have grown the conference where we literally outgrew our old venue. April had described before that, it had burned down. It had burned down after we had been out of there. We had been
glad to hear you didn't burn it down.
We had been at Kalahari for a couple of years when that occurred. And, we had outgrown it. When Kalahari was coming in, they met with us. We were one of the biggest clients at Pocono Manor. And they offered their space to us. So, we just continue to grow the conference year after year. We continue to get new sponsors year after year. We continue to search for the best presenters because, again, we're trying to provide quality education at less than a national conference price.
Excellent.
Yeah, and we try to see, what are the popular topics, right, that are going on right now? What do the EMS providers need? What are they looking for? What's the education that they may be lacking that we can bring to them at this conference? So we do a little research on our end just to see what kind of things can we bring to the conference that would want to entice somebody to go that they haven't maybe been able to find anywhere else or go anywhere else we don't want them just to do everything online either. We want to be in person.
Yeah, I feel like since COVID, like all Con Ed is online now.
Yeah, most people just hit play and then they go wash their dishes or take their trash out. A lot of times they're not engaged in it. We want them to be engaged, to participate. We do a lot of hands-on in some of the sessions. Like last year, one of the physicians had this lab of pig trachs, and they got to practice doing crikes and ventilating, and it was all hands on. And the providers loved it. So it's not just sitting and listening to a presenter talk. It's about being involved, questions and answers. We try to make the topic something that people are going to want to hear, what they're going to want to know.
I think that's a great point. Like, I'm a high school teacher. Dr. Heckman was on the show a couple weeks ago, and we talked about that. Like, one of the biggest hurdles of being a teacher these days is like engagement. Like, he picked up his phone and he said, you got to be better than this. And I think that most providers would prefer an in-person training, but what are you going to do to make it exciting and make them want to be there?
Well,
Yeah, and that was what we focused on last year, was that nobody wants to be lectured at. Each session is 1 hour long. Nobody wants to be lectured at for an hour. So in our early stages of planning, we had talked to the presenters and said, can your session be a 30-minute talk and 30 minutes of doing something? To the point of one of our sessions was EMS VO. Typically, those aren't that exciting.
Right.
So it was a very brief classroom talk, and then the instructor actually took them out and taught them things like how to check the tires to make sure they're safe, how to check the oil, how to check, windshield washer fluid, things like that maybe some providers don't know how to do that. So it was getting them out of their seats, getting them involved in learning something with their hands. And their reviews came back that they absolutely loved that.
One of the best conferences I've ever been at, one of the larger networks in the area used to put on a wilderness conference, and it was in the Poconos. It was at Skytop Lodge, and they had sessions where you went for a walk in the forest and they showed you things. And it was like, the conference was wilderness medicine. What should you not eat? How do you get somebody out of the woods? How do you splint an extremity? How do you make a stretcher? And just most of it was hands-on, and it was an amazing conference. I think I went to it like 2 or 3 times. I took my wife to it. She enjoyed it. So
well, that's how we are as EMS providers. That's why we got an EMS. A lot of us can't sit just behind a desk all day. We need to have the interaction. We work with our hands. That's why we love the field of EMS and providing care. And to sit and be lectured for an hour, sometimes we just we get lost in that thought. We'd rather be in there with our hands learning things. Just how we're geared as EMS providers.
We're a different breed for sure. And
I say that all the time.
My
so funny you said that.
My undiagnosed ADHD will not let me sit there and listen to you talk at me for 60 minutes. That's me, right? And I know a lot of people are the same way. So.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the thing. Code Conference, it's a destination. You can bring your family. You're in sessions during the day, your wife and children, they could be at the water park.
Right.
They could be relaxing in the room. It doesn't cost you anything extra to bring your family. That it would cost just for you to come solo.
And I love that it's not that far away. I mean, national conferences, you got to get on an airplane. You have to buy airfare, and it really adds on to the cost. This is an hour away up in the Poconos. It's an excellent resort. They have that excellent water park.
And it's going to be in October, and the foliage is beautiful.
Oh, there's nothing better, I don't think.
Right? You look out your balcony door of the hotel room, you can literally see the mountain full of foliage. It's just an amazing setting.
Talk to me about, like, other than education and talking to vendors, talk to me about the vibe of the conference. As I know, a lot of people, like, they hang out, they meet new people, networking, things like that. So what do you got going on at the conference that, sets that vibe?
So we always, during the day, obviously you're in sessions and you're learning and everything. There's not a lot of time for networking besides unless maybe during a meal or when the exhibit hall is open or during a break. So we like to take that evening hours and have that time be for where you can socialize and network. I see the same people almost every year at the conference. I don't talk to them all year long, but when I see them at the conference, it's like the days never even passed.
Right.
So it's a nice way to kind of catch up with everybody, but also to meet new people, find out what their struggles are, find out what their triumphs are, and things like that, and just network and see what they're doing. Maybe I can steal some of your ideas or vice versa. So we do a couple different things in the evenings to bring and gather all those individuals together.
So on Wednesday evening, we have an evening social, and it's a live band called Ostrich Hat.
Which are amazing.
That's exciting.
I love them.
Live music is great.
A lot of energy. They are a cover band singing all genres.
Everything.
Awesome.
From Katy Perry to AC/DC. It is crazy.
And then on Thursday evening, we have a DJ dance party. And all of that is included in your conference registration.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good time for everyone to come together,
Mm-hmm.
socialize, network, and just kind of decompress from the
Mm-hmm.
day's activities.
And we usually provide alcohol and pizza at the social events as well. So
Okay.
you know how EMS providers are. If you feed us, we'll come.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Right. Food. I think a lot of people go to a conference to get away and do the net. I prefer the networking
Mm-hmm.
and the meeting new people than
Mm-hmm.
the credits. You know, I
Mhm.
mean, there are certain sessions that you go to and they're like, wow, that was really good. But like,
Mhm.
I love meeting new people. Exactly what you said.
Mhm.
What are you struggling with? Like, what are your triumphs and things like that? So
Mhm.
I heard that when you said that.
Yeah, that's it. I love listening to sidebar conversations about, what one provider may be having an issue with something and another provider is able to help them or at least put them in the right direction. I do kind of, it is nice to hear those sidebar conversations while you're at the conference of other, agencies that have never even seen each other before, or providers don't even know each other, kind of coming together and learning something new.
Thank you so much for the EMS Council for coming on the show and pitching the Code Conference this fall. We hope to see everybody there. Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
April.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. It's a great opportunity. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a good night.
Thank you. You too.